Alright, you guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about something that I am asked on an almost constant basis, and that is if it's possible for us to eat too much fruit. There are a ton of fad diets out there, and there are even some doctors in the plant-based diet movement that say that you should limit the amount of fruit that you eat on a daily basis. And the primary argument, or maybe even the only argument really, is that fruit has too much sugar in it. There's too much sugar in fruit. There's too much sugar in fruit. Fruit's gonna give you diabetes. When I was 19, my boyfriend at the time had a dad, and that dad had diabetes. And whenever he would see me eating bananas, he'd always say, "Oh, you can't eat those bananas. They're too spotty. They're gonna give you diabetes." And I was like, all due respect, but is that how you got diabetes, Patrick? So yes, while it is true that fruit does contain types of sugars, primarily fructose and glucose, the sugars that are in fruit are very much special, and we'll talk about why. First of all, fructose doesn't actually require insulin to be able to enter our cells, so there's that. But fructose, even though it's found naturally in many places throughout the plant kingdom, has gotten a bad reputation, primarily because of high fructose corn syrup, which is a highly refined and concentrated form of sugar. High levels of high fructose corn syrup consumption are associated with NAFLD, which is what nobody calls non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's associated with increased high blood pressure and even damage to our arteries. So I'd like to be super clear about 2 points. First, I don't think anyone should be having high fructose corn syrup. It shouldn't be counted as a food. I don't know why it's in everything. Second, the fructose that is found in fruits is very different, and we'll talk about why in just a second. But first, let's talk about that other type of sugar that's found in fruits. Glucose. So glucose does require insulin to be able to enter into our cells, but that's totally fine because simply needing insulin to get into cells is not what causes insulin resistance or diabetes. In fact, insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes is caused by too much dietary fat consumption, primarily saturated fats and trans fats. Now, all sugar from all sources, no matter where you get it, is pretty much molecularly digested the same. But like I said, there are major differences in fruit, so let's talk about those differences. Fruit is not high fructose corn syrup, and it's not a refined sugar. Whole fruit is different in 2 primary ways. The first is that whole fruit contains fiber. Notice that I'm talking about whole fruits. I'm not talking about fruit juices, because fruit juices, even like the nice, fresh, cold-pressed fruit juices, they don't contain fiber. So the dietary fiber found in whole plant foods is extremely useful in slowing down the blood sugar spike that you could see from eating high carbohydrate foods. Dietary fiber is also your digestive tract's favorite thing ever. It bulks up all of the waste that's in your intestines, it feeds your beneficial gut bacteria, and it helps to push things through, which is a really great thing in a society where more than 50% of people report that they're chronically constipated. It always comes back to poop. Whole fruits are also really high in antioxidants and other phytonutrients that help to manage the digestion of plant sugars. So the molecular digestion of sugar can be a pretty volatile process, which means that digestive process can create plenty of oxidation in the body, which can lead to cellular and DNA damage, and it's something that, we would kind of like to avoid. Unfortunately, it's just not totally avoidable. Fortunately, fruits and vegetables are like these perfect little packages that not only contain some of the energy that will cause a little bit of oxidation, they also contain antioxidants. And the antioxidants from fresh fruits and vegetables will literally stop oxidation in its tracks. I love nature. She's so beautiful. Everything comes in these perfect little packages. So the dietary fiber and antioxidants that are so abundant in whole plant foods like fruit are the reasons why fruit consumption isn't a problem. And the effects of eating large amounts of fruits has been studied, so don't stress. We got some science to back this stuff up. I know it's pronounced science, that was a joke. So in How Not to Die, which is hands down one of my favorite coagulations of paper of all time, Dr. Greger summarizes a few really interesting studies. So these studies looked at whether or not it's possible to eat too much fruit. And basically what those studies found was that it's essentially physically impossible to eat too much fruit. Because fruit is so high in dietary fiber and its water content is so rich, it's very bulky and it takes up a lot of space in the digestive tract, excuse me. And so we actually max out the space that's in our stomach and our intestines before we can eat an amount of fruit that causes any medically detectable problems. So I want to read you a quote from page 291 of How Not to Die. 17 people were asked to eat 20 servings of fruit per day for months. Despite the extraordinarily high fructose content of this fruit-based diet, the sugar equivalent of about 8 cans of soda per day, the investigators reported beneficial outcomes with no overall adverse effects for body weight, blood pressure, insulin, cholesterol, and triglyceride levels. More recently, the research group who invented the glycemic index found that feeding subjects a fruit, vegetable, and nut-based diet that included about 20 servings of fruit per day for a couple of weeks had no adverse effects on weight, blood pressure, or triglycerides, all while lowering LDL, bad cholesterol, by an astounding 38 points. Cholesterol lowering was not the only record broken. Participants were asked to eat 43 servings of vegetables a day in addition to the fruit, the result of which was that the researchers recorded the largest ever bowel movement documented in a dietary intervention. It always comes back to poop. No increase in triglycerides, no increase in cholesterol, no increase in blood pressure or weight or issues with insulin. So that's what the science says. And then in my experience, I've been eating a predominantly fruit-based diet for almost a decade. When I started that diet, I had hypoglycemia, I'd been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, I'd been diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I was overweight, I was constipated, I was exhausted, I had terrible skin, I just felt awful. And all of that reversed on a high fruit diet. My blood sugar problems, the hypoglycemia, the insulin regulation problems, the hormone problems, it all went away on an extremely high fruit diet. Hang tight, we gotta move. Oh God. I did some tabulating. These are approximates. In the last 10 years, I have eaten approximately 54,750 bananas, 3,162 oranges, 2,426 apples, and somewhere north of 5,000 papayas. I stuffed those fruits in. I'm a very fruity person, and it has served me oh so well. All of that said, everybody's different. If you don't like fruit, or you don't want to eat a ton of fruit, or if you eat a ton of fruit and you don't feel great afterwards, just don't do it. You don't have to do it. And let's just be realistic. There are literally hundreds of thousands of other kinds of whole plant foods that you can enjoy in your life that aren't fruit. So whatever combination of whole plant foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, whatever combination you want to do it. It's so good for you. And don't listen to your trash-talking boyfriend's father, or maybe soon-to-be ex-boyfriend's father. Hey, it was a good choice for me, but whatever. I will see you guys for a fruity lunch soon. Over there. Here we have lunch. I am definitely a lover of sweet, and I always used to have this insatiable sweet tooth. It would just drive me crazy all the time, especially when I was putting myself on diets 24/7 because I just always craved sweet things. And I remember always feeling like such a pathetic little weakling because I would cave into those cravings, you know, because I just had this sweet tooth that I couldn't control. And I'm pretty sure that's just like how humans are supposed to be, because I was depriving myself of carbohydrates and calories, and so I ended up having tons of cravings for sugar. But those sweet cravings totally went away when I started eating enough fruit and enough calories in general, really. And so I will forever be thankful to fruit for liberating me from that constant tug of war with myself, because that's just no way to live. So I'm gonna finish this up, probably write for the rest of the day, and I will see you guys for dinner. Have a bed of kabocha squash, and then a big salad with spinach, red cabbage, and all kinds of other veggies on top, and then black beans. And I sprinkled a little bit of nutritional yeast all over everything because pumpkin and nutritional yeast is everything. It's so good. All right, you guys, so this is gonna be everything that I ate in a day. Although I also had a little snack of some leftover rice noodles, brown rice, chickpeas, pumpkin, and other veggies from a recent dinner. And then I'm enjoying some home-brewed kombucha and hibiscus tea mix. Has turmeric particulates in the bottom. I'm gonna go enjoy my dinner and try to stop sweating, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions or comments can go down below in the comments section, including requests for topics. And as always, until next time, make better choices for yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you, and take really, really good care. I will see you all so soon. Bye! Oh crap. Bye!